There's an interesting connection between geology and baseball. But to understand it, you first need to know that baseball has a long history of bending the rules. There was the steroids era, and a few years ago there was the Astros sign stealing scandal. And something that's been going on for a really long time is pitchers trying to add sticky stuff to the baseball. Sometimes they'll hide it on their neck or behind their ears, sometimes in their gloves. And the reason why is because it gives them better control over the ball. It helps increase the spin rate. So sometimes you'll see pitchers doing stuff like this, grabbing at their glove for a little bit of maybe some glue they've hidden in there. This same guy kept rubbing his hair, and the other team is getting suspicious, so the refs start checking his gloves and his belt and even start petting his hair like a cat, looking for some sticky stuff that's hidden in there. And this is where geology comes in. Major League Baseball wants the balls to have a little bit of grip, but it's got to have just the right amount of grip. So they use this rubbing mud that they've been using for decades, and they use it on every single ball they use in Major League Baseball. We wanted to learn about the geology of this mud, so we started by investigating the depositional environment. We know that it comes from a tributary of the Delaware River near Philadelphia, but we don't know the exact location. Here's a geologic map of the area, and all of these rocks that are shown on this map are siliciclastic rocks, and all of the tributaries flow along the same bedrock. So the composition will remain more or less consistent between these tributaries, but the grain size does vary with flow rate. And so it makes sense that the mud is harvested from the same location at the same time each year. And so we bought a couple jars of this mud, and this is what it looks like. It has this dark gray color when it's wet, and it does dry to be a little bit more red, and we'll get into the color a little bit more later. When you look at the XRD, the composition looks like this, with about 35% quartz and most of the rest of it being clay. But I think the interesting thing here is that there's very little swelling clay. There's a little bit of vermiculite, and it's around 2%. And I think that lack of swelling clays is really important for the grip for when it encounters any amount of moisture. So in addition to learning about the mud itself, we wanted to understand what it does to a baseball. And so we bought this game-used Major League Baseball, and it comes with information about the action that ball saw. And so this is our baseball. It saw 2 pitches and then is discarded after it touches the dirt. So we sliced off some of the leather of that ball along with some other baseballs, and we put them in the scanning electron microscope so we could see what the mud is actually doing to the leather of the ball. And so on the left is an image of mud-packed pores shown with the brown arrows, and the black arrows are pointing at some micro cracks in the leather. On the right, we have some of the laces of the ball that have been picking up little grains of mud and clay. And picking up this sediment changes the color of the ball just a little bit, which is important for the batters because they read the color of the pitch as it's coming towards them. And this leads us to the most common question we got while working on this. Is there another mud that would work better? After all, it's a very muddy world out there. Anybody could go outside and get a jar of mud just a few minutes from their local ballpark. And is there one that might work better? Well, it depends how you define better. Because I think what most people imagine when they're asking that question is there another mud that can add more grip? And the answer is sure. All you need is one that has more sand in it because that's what does the abrasion. If you were to shift this grain size profile of our rubbing mud to the right, you get more abrasion. That's not what Major League Baseball wants. That favors the pitchers too much. Well, if you shift this grain size profile to the left, then you get a different feel of the ball that might not feel right for the pitchers. What they want is consistency. They want it to feel the same from ballpark to ballpark. Not only that, the color matters too. If somebody harvests a mud that has too much red in it or not enough red, it doesn't look right for the batters. And really, that's what makes this rubbing mud special. It's the consistency, as well as the lack of swelling clays. And so next time you watch a Major League Baseball game, just remember there's a little bit of geology on the ball.